What's up? Welcome to Mixed Chat. Oh.
We have a guest today.
As we work after work on location for Mixed Chat at Blue Studios with Carolynn Hitt.
Here we are.
I'm Naudia. You can just call me Naz.
Kiya.
I'm Carolynn.
We're super happy to be here at Blue Studios, and we're working on like technical difficulties, so bear with us. This is our first time setting up in here. We've got hella lights. We've got cameras everywhere. And we're really looking forward to chopping it up with you all. So let's check in. How's everyone feeling? Shall I start?
You should start.
I'm feeling super blessed right now because this is a great setup. Carolynn was like, let me call Bobby and make sure he sets us up right. And look at us, set up right.
Good lighting, hard work in the back. Yes.
And yeah, cheers to, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling blessed. How else am I feeling? Focused, grateful.
We had really good conversations today.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to having more conversations.
Right.
How about y'all?
Good.
I'll go next. I'm feeling really good today. Feel like I look good, smell good. But yeah, I'm really excited to do this with Carolynn today. I feel like it's gonna be a lot of fun. There's gonna be a lot of laughs. As always. And just like Naz was saying, we have a lot of good conversations today, and I'm excited to have another one.
Right.
Yes. So here we are.
How about you?
Well, I'm here. I'm Carolynn. Some people know me as Hitt. I'm super excited to be here and have these conversations. We have a lot of conversations privately. We work a lot of community angles and really are deep diving into a lot of the things that we're working on, but we do it so privately, so it's nice to sort of like bust out into the community and just sort of talk about some of the shit that we're doing.
Yeah.
I'm super happy to be here. It's a long day. I've been up in the studio painting since early. So, but I'm always happy to be here with you too. Because I think that the things that we're working on are so impactful and so important. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Agreed. Yep. All that. And we're at Blue Plum Studios.
Before we get too deep into it, I do want to let everybody know that if you are commenting on Instagram, I'm going to be checking on that, and I can answer any questions, or I can ask the girls questions. Naudia is going to be asking and answering questions from Facebook, so feel free to interact with us the whole time too.
We love questions.
Yes,
we love questions, and loving this setup.
And want to give a big shout out to Bobby Stills for coming in and helping us out.
Yep.
Getting us all sort of like set up on the tech ends that we're not entirely. We're learning. This is a learning process, and everybody should feel comfortable learning and comfortable like experimenting. I know, we watch a lot of people that are like sharp as shit at this, and we're like, oh my God, I can never get there. And the reality is that it takes everybody a little bit to get here. Right? Yeah. And every time we do this, like ideally we'll get a little bit better at it.
Yeah, definitely. Right? I think about how many conversations we've had about like doing these type of things, or producing content. And we're, I guess, kind of perfectionists, but like we have like artist eyes, I guess. So we want it to look a certain way, and that's been a lot of like the learning for us, is like recognizing we can actually do this stuff. We have everything that we need around us. We know all the people who can teach us, even though we've never done it before. Like it's actually just like kind of making a phone call and setting time. Right. But time's been so funny,
Time's been extra funny. Time is such a weird fucking thing right now.
So it's just everything happens when it's supposed to. We've been feeling that.
I believe that.
Yeah. That's been our theme throughout our friendship the past like
divine timing. Trusting the process.
And allowing ourselves the freedom of the process.
Yeah.
And allowing ourselves the sort of, because there can be a lot of anxiety around producing things like this.
Hell yeah.
And people that might want to do this may not because there is a lot of anxiety. Like, you know, Bobby asked me earlier, he's like, why are you so anxious? I'm like, we got to do this thing. And, you know, like I'm all hypersensitive about it. And the reality is that we all have the opportunity to try these things and learn and get better. And we should give ourselves the grace of learning.
Yes.
Right. There's such an expectation of being so super good at all of this out of the gate, and that's just not even realistic or possible. Like giving ourselves the grace of learning and the grace of process, right? The process of being here with you two and our sis Julie, who's having a little bit of a break today.
Taking a day off.
She needs a whole, like, she should have the most breaks.
Shout out to Julie C.
Shout out to Julie C. But giving ourselves the grace of learning how to produce these things and how to get better at it is really important.
That's what we're here doing today.
That's what we're doing.
That's what we're doing. Sorry, I'm getting.
I'm excited to be in on Mixed Chick Chat because you know, like as a mixed chick, right? That is often felt outside. Like I think so often about being an outsider, and in that sense of like being mixed and not and having those sort of like strange attachments to where we're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're this or you're that, and it's like I'm kind of multiple. I'm kind of all of it. We get to decide what that looks like.
It's a lot of different things.
So it's exciting. Well, exciting. I think it's exciting.
Maybe not, since we are on a different platform right now.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people probably know what Mixed Chick Chat is.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe we should talk about what that is first and how it got started, and then how we brought Carolynn.
Yeah, because it actually popped off like right in the summer when we met Carolynn.
Mm-hmm.
It was like Kiya and I were coming up to CHOP pretty regularly. We had like recently gotten connected to Carolynn and got familiar with like Blue Cone Studios a little bit, but found out that we were just very aligned in mission. And so when Kiya and I would like leave CHOP and like decompress, we decided to do like lives about it and kind of talk about what we were experiencing. And then of course we had to give it a cute title, you know.
Mixed Chick Chat.
Mixed Chick Chat is nice.
Yeah, it's cute, right?
Right.
It works. And so over the past few months, we've really kind of tried to up the production of it. Like lots of things have been transitioning, but we've been like learning the whole time and trying to figure out how much, you know, structure we want to put or how little structure, what kind of structure. And
learning a lot.
Yeah, and we've been like, you know, having our conversations with Hitt and lots of other people and you know, brewing on this. We've been plotting on this, and now we're here.
Now we're
here. And I think we're looking forward to like continuing to expand what this looks like, you know, many different and all sort of type of ways.
Well, it's cool because last week we did our paint and sip.
Yes.
Right? We did do that.
And so
that was super fun.
It was so fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we had this big production and we had it right here and we had the lighting and it was cool because we all put it together ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been nice to have Bobby there, but I think we did a good job on our own. And it's kind of nice to like each time we do something, it's like a step up.
Right.
Yeah. And so even if you go back and if you look at like Naudia, I think they're all Nadia's lives. You can see from the beginning, we're just like in her living room.
Yeah. At the
and
table.
each day, like each time it gets better lighting, and then better setting, and then now here we are. So
I think that's the key to all of this, though, right? That we continue learning, we continue getting better at it, and we also let people know that it's okay to start where you are.
Yes.
Like, like you can start where you are. You got this, that, or the other. Like you can make something go with that. We'll work with that, and then as we have the opportunity to get better at it, you know, because there's a lot of pressure to be any good at any of this. Right? Like there's a lot of pressure. There's kids out there half our age like blowing shit up on TikTok and doing all the things and being incredible. And it's hard, you know, like I'm 45. A lot of this technology is a little bit beyond me. Like I feel a little bit lost. Like I feel like I have to concentrate extra hard to understand what's going on, but it's not like I don't want to know what's going on.
Right.
Right? And I don't want to catch up. It's just like it's a process. Like
process.
all this is a process.
And it takes time. Like if we want it to look good, it's not gonna just happen.
Right.
Yeah, we got to take the extra steps
to
learn on the way. So
and giving ourselves the grace to do that is key.
Yeah. So thanks for sharing your platform with us, because you've been doing this a while. You know what I mean? Well, you've been creating art in the community for a long time. You've been at Blue Cone Studios for a long time. So like, tell us about this space. Tell us about what it's done, how it came to be, how long you've been holding space here.
So we are about 5.5 years into the Blue Cone space, right? And what's interesting and not everybody understands is, like, I kind of got thrust into this opportunity in that at a very particular moment, the artist that I share space with up here had said, you know, everybody's leaving. I don't want to lose the space. I was working at a restaurant at the time, and he was one of my regulars, and we were just chatting about it, and he was very upset because he didn't want to take the responsibility of bringing in artists and all of those things. So I got this space about 5 years ago, but it wasn't that like I didn't get it prepared. Like I was sort of thrust into it, and then had to figure out how to make it work for many years, you know. And I have lots of ideas, and over 5 years, like I've had a lot of ideas, and we've made some of them happen, and others of them I realized like I'm just out of my scope in that, like I don't know that I have the people, or I don't entirely know what I'm doing. It's been a learning process for the last 5 years, for sure, in holding this space. And I think one of the main things that was always really important to me is that we're here on Capitol Hill, right? And spaces like these do not become available to people like us very often. Spaces like this are often grandfathered in. It's about who you know, and they just so often are not offered up to us. So given the opportunity to take the space, even though I knew that I was not financially prepared to take the space, I didn't really know what to do. I also knew that I couldn't not take the space. Right. But a lot of spaces like this is an art studio, and there's, you know, when I first came in, it was separated out in a very traditional Seattle style where everybody has their little space. They're not really, it's not really a collaborative space. It's just like, this is where you go to make art, this is where you go to make art, and everybody's kind of separate. And I never wanted it to be that, because I know how valuable spaces like this are. I know how rare it is for us to be able to have an opportunity like this. And I wasn't willing as an artist to hoard the space. So from the beginning, it's always been a community space for me. So even when I brought other resident artists in, I always let people know, like, this is a shared space. Right. And I want people to be able to come in. I'm going to bring in whoever, whenever. So you're not going to get like your little block of space that's totally private and nobody's going to fuck with your shit. Like at any point we could have a group of 20 kids in here that want to make art, and I want to make that available to them.
I think that's a really, like, I want to touch on that a little bit more, because I had heard the name before. I had ran into you at an info session, or I had sat at a table with you at an info session. Like we didn't have time to really get to know each other, you know what I'm saying? But I remember you very, very well. And so when I finally like was brought into this space and got to see it and then meet you and found out like what you were doing out of here, the programming, the free programming specifically, I also then found out that like, oh, all of these other people these Black folks actually that I'm meeting in community have been participating in your programs. And it's so important to hold space, because what we found in the research we've been doing, the Black Brilliance research, is that folks want cultural spaces where they feel safe, where they can participate in the arts and things of that nature. And, you know, for those of us who are like from here and are involved in the arts community, like we've been knowing this. I feel like everyone's been actively for at least 5 years, if not longer. Like that's, I think, about my timeline with like trying to hold space. It's been about 5-6 years now with Black and Tan Hall. Like we know that we need more places in the city.
Right.
So I just thought it was really, really cool that I was like, oh wow, there's so many people who are coming through here for these free programs. The free program is called it was tea, right?
We did for 5 years before the pandemic hit. For 5 years, and only with like minimal, like very, very few breaks did we take. Every Tuesday from 6 to 9, we opened the studio for Tuesday tea, and I put out all of the art supplies that we had. And I usually have like a little spread of snacks, because I fully believe that if you're going to bring people in, that food, and maybe that's the Filipino in me that's like, but if you feed them, they will come. But also, I know that we had a number of youth, because it ended up being a lot of youth coming through, probably like 19 to 30-year-olds. And at 45, like 19 to 30 is still youth to me, right? Yeah. Because I think of how lost I was 19 to 30, and I'm like, man, it took me to like 35 to even pull anything together. And I'm not even sure I pulled my shit together. But to have a place to be, to know that you can rely on it, to know that there's going to be some snacks and art supplies, and nobody's expecting anything of you. And we had all different levels, like people just came through. Yeah. For years, from all over the city, right? Because we have people coming from north and south and east and west, just because, and that lets you know how few places exist where you can just show up, not have to pay anything, get to make stuff, hang out with people you love, have conversations, learn, and go and some snacks, man. Snacks are key. Snacks are key. We had kids that were like, there are days when that was the only time I ate. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And that was really important to me. It's really important to me. And I started that almost as soon as I had the studio, because I knew that I wanted this to be a community space. Yeah. Right? Oh yeah. Like that's really, really important to me. And the pandemic has been hard because I haven't been able to have people up here. So, I'm glad that we've been using it to organize and get ourselves in a position where we can continue to do more with the space and eventually, hopefully, bring people back in. I really like all of our tea people. I tried to do tea when the pandemic hit. I tried to do it online and virtual, and I couldn't. I just couldn't. I couldn't commit to it. I couldn't. It didn't feel right.
Not a lot of people have the resources to be able to do all that, especially in the beginning of COVID when we were all like,
how do you do any of this? How do we do any of these things?
Again, people are losing their jobs, like the one place that they might have been able to get Wi-Fi, right? And so that's tough. Right.
And that kind of that makes me think, the space, we're a year into this pandemic, over a year now. Getting into a year, about to be a year.
My goodness.
Okay.
It's almost exactly
a year. And I mean, if we count the other countries that were already actually knew that it was happening, America just didn't kick into COVID until March, but everyone else was the States.
Some America was catching on.
Some was, and so, anyways, transitioning into how do we function in a pandemic in a space like this? So I remember when we first got linked up, there was a certain amount of tenants, if you will, not tenants.
I had resident artists
that were here. How do we still have resident artists? And because I know you're doing some remodel is the plan in here. So where are we going with this?
So we do have a remodel that we have to do, and that's through the Office of Arts and Culture. We actually got a facilities grant to do a remodel that would allow us a little bit more space. It's allowing us to sort of build a second level. And in the pandemic, it sort of shifted and changed how we need to use this space and how we need to consider it for the future. So we're looking to remodel, put a bit of a second level so that we can, a couple of our visual artists, we still have resident artists, but almost none of them come in now. They're sort of spread out everywhere, and the studio isn't quite entirely set up as I would ideally like. So for like Brian Culpepper, who's an illustrator, like we want to give him a little bit of space so that he could come in and have that. But we've also been working with the Hydrant Youth. And the idea is that with this remodel, they'll actually be able to take over the front portion of the studio and make it useful for what they're interested in. So I've been sort of working a mentorship program with them, figuring out what they're interested in so that we can model this remodel around their needs. And essentially so that I can step away a little bit, release, give them a little more agency to determine how they want to use the space. But then also having our resident artists have space as well so that they can work. But within that sort of like COVID safety, a little bit spread out, we got a catwalk, we got a second level we got to build. So those are things that, an interesting thing about the Office of Arts and Cultural Grants, those are things where you kind of got to make the money ahead of time and then they reimburse you. So we've been in a sort of like trying to catch up on rent, trying to catch up on bills, trying to maintain the space, trying to just like keeping the space open for the last year has been my only goal. Like beyond even keeping my own apartment or anything, like maintaining the space, it's so important. It's so integral to our community here on Capitol Hill. So that's been the most important thing to me. But I think as we go into this spring, doing this remodel and getting ourselves in a position where we can actually further the development of these youth and give them opportunities in areas that they might not normally have opportunities in. I think that's our next step. But the remodel's up. Like it's one of the reasons why I'm doing this project that I'm doing so that we can
coming together,
so that we can raise some funds and get that remodel in.
Yeah, the fundraising is key because it took me a while to realize that there's actually like a recording studio here too.
Right.
And I know that part of the vision is turning kind of the front space into like partial like media hub, so like a place to edit, do video editing, creating space for like recording from video recording from like different angles and like so creating a media hub, like I said.
Right.
And I think that's really exciting because this is really a huge space. And then you think about, then you can also come record music here.
Right.
It's just this whole other level. So and figuring out new systems so that like we can operate in a COVID, normalcy.
I mean, we've all been sort of potted up and get our tests and do whatever.
Yes.
So like we see each other, and this is
we are
we're like the only people each other sees. But we have to consider that this pandemic is going to go on for an amount of time.
Yeah.
So how do we do sort of COVID safe recording sessions?
Yeah.
How do we get our recording booth up and running so that people can drop in or make appointments and keep creating? I think the biggest concern for me is that people have the opportunity to keep creating because I know it's so helpful and healing in this time when there's so much angst and stress and those of us that do create really need that outlet.
Yeah, and we've been talking about recently, and I think it's okay for us to say that like for fundraising to like keep spaces like this and other spaces too, because this is just one kind of pod in the big scheme of a lot of other cultural spaces that we want to keep functioning.
Right.
Like we've been talking about looking for private investors, and that's kind of more like we talk about the project, more of that direction with fundraising. So like, do you want to share again like how the bags are working? And I didn't realize these were stenciled on. Already.
Some of them have stenciled numbers on. Like this one doesn't have a stenciled number on. Because it took me a while to decide if I was gonna put the numbers on or not, right? So I've got a little bit of a project. If you see, these behind us are all burlap sacks. Now this project started. I was working with Marcus Henderson at Black Star Farmers, and we're doing a remodel. We're doing a bit of a landscaping and shed remodel for Vivian Hua at Northwest Film Forum, and in the removing of the blackberry bushes, a lot of burlap sacks had to be put down, and it came to light that we had access to a large number of burlap sacks that we're making into tote bags for Jama Food Circle to sort of deliver free food to folks. But also I wanted to do my part, so I sort of created this ongoing project with these burlap sacks in the way that I can, which is making art. So each of these, if you follow me on Instagram at CMEHITT, right? Some of you are already here, but for those of you who aren't, each of these bags is part of a whole sort of iteration, and my process in it is interesting. So I don't even know how to explain it now. I'm like, wait, what did I do? But what I'm doing, it's called Say When. So it's an ongoing project in that if you check out my Instagram, you can see that all of these are part of a bigger thing. But then when they're separated out, you can say when, buy one of the pieces, support us. They're $500 each. I know it may sound like a lot, but you know, for a piece this size, like my personal pieces that I sell, like that's actually a really a really decent price for the size, as far as like my and the amount of work, you know, but they'll change. So you could purchase one, you could go to my thing, say when, it could be your piece, but then you could decide to let it ride, which means that it'll go back into the mix of sort of like all the paintings will become one iteration, and I'll do some painting on them, and little marks will be added here and there. I highly recommend, to understand this project more, to go to my Instagram and sort of like check in on those videos to see what's going on.
It's really cool.
Yeah,
really cool.
But I like it, and I had to be involved in this way because as I watch all of you doing very intricate admin work, having meetings and details and you know, all of this that's not really up my alley, and I still really wanted to be able to support our cause in the way that I'm capable. You know, and one of the ways that I'm most capable is by making art. And as a social, like I consider myself a social expressionist in that, like, the art I make is for the community. Like, I make it because of the community. I make it to raise money to support my community. Like, I make art because of community. So any amount of support that we get, it all goes back into what we're doing. So that's what this project really is.
So you should definitely buy you one of these pieces.
Get one.
I think the fact that it has each of these bags has a story.
Right.
You talk about the Jama Food Circle, and that's something that stemmed out of like that stemmed out of the protest.
It stemmed out of the protest. Like, it's all connected. Like,
it's
not one of these bags is just a piece of art that I was like, I'm gonna make a piece of art.
Yeah.
No.
It was all out of the whole thing.
Right.
You know, it was out of working with Marcus, and Marcus and I were in the chop, and it took a minute, and Sarah connected us, and we started working on these land projects so that we could get a little bit more land and really develop some of these ideas that we had. But it's really all the, like, it's so connected. Like, none of these pieces stands alone, right?
Right.
Every one of these pieces has a history, not only to the project itself, but to our projects beyond and how we connect. And so this is why, like, it means so much to me as a community project, and the opportunity, because, you know, so often we ask, like, donate and support and all of this, and we're not really, you know, like, this is, you could also get art.
Yeah, you get art. You get art with the story.
You get art, and it's a part of the story, and it's so deeply a part of the story.
It really is.
Right?
It really is. And
it's like, it's weird because I can feel the energy with it too, just like being around, and it might be just being around you too. But it's like, I don't know. It's also cool coming in, seeing it when they were just blank, and then seeing all the, because
this all happened in like a week.
Yeah.
Right?
So I seen these when they were just yellow, and that's it.
Right.
You know, and then seeing all this looks amazing, and I highly encourage everybody to go back and look at Carolynn's Facebook or Instagram and watch her as she's going through this process.
Mhm.
Just super dope. I woke up at like 6 a.m. this morning.
I
and
saw
it,
you. You
and I
were
was
you were on me. I was like, only like so few people were live with me this morning at 7. I woke up at like 5:30 and I couldn't sleep, and it was freezing, and I bundled everything up because I knew it'd be freezing in here, and I was like, I'm gonna go live.
That's why
And
we're
it
I
might
woke up
be-
to feed my cat and I saw it. I was like, oh, Carolyn. I was like, yes, and I watched it.
And I was just kind of touching up these pieces to get them ready to hang tonight, but it was still like I believe so strongly in the process of all of this, you know, and I think I've spent so much of my life in the future and the idea of what the future is that I don't know that I always appreciated the process and the people, and no matter what the future brings, the process of being here with you, the process of this engagement, the fact that we're sharing this time and space together in and trying to like do our best to offer something to the community and the world, like that means more to me than anything. Right? Like I can't imagine painting these paintings for any other reason than to give us an opportunity to continue this process together.
And these are like legit the conversations we just be having.
We sit
Yeah.
around and talk about this all the time.
It's funny because I'm like this, you know, like when there's cameras on, you feel like, should I be doing something else? Am I supposed to be doing, you know, like all this pressure? And it's like, but no, like this is what we are just here to share with you all, like to let you into really what the creative process is, or just the experiences as like cultural workers, which is a new kind of piece of my identity that I'm acknowledging, you know, is like a cultural worker. And
I think before Julie before Julie was like, you're a cultural worker.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been doing, you know,
Yeah.
I had never even considered the work that I was doing. I'd never considered the two.
I
never thought of it in the terms of like cultural worker.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, this is what I want to do. This is what's important to me. Like, I feel like I've been an outsider for so long, and so many of the people that we work with are kind of neurodivergent, a bit socially, you know, we anxiety, you know, we've existed on the outskirts for so long, and I've always just wanted a place for us to be without that judgment, right? And I've always wanted Blue Cone to be a place where we can all exist without judgment.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's why I love hanging with you all, because there's no judgment, you know, and everyone is just like trying their best and trying to align the best that they can and giving each other like grace, you know, and respectful, and just like, you know, operating out of kindness. And even if there's like, well, you know, different perspectives, there's just so much patience with everybody and trying to have conversations. And I think about you were talking about how everything is connected, and then the time that you spend in the future and thinking about solutions, and how like I think about how patient we've had to be in this whole time, and then I think about, because there's a painting to the left of me that y'all can't see, but there's this painting to the left of me which is train tracks, and it's kind of a cool part of like our story of like how we came to be connected, because like Hitt started painting train tracks like a couple months ago now.
I love the story.
And when that was happening, there was a lot of us like, are we doing the right thing? What are we doing right now? And so this was a reminder that we're on the right track.
We're on the right track.
And that was, you know, that was great. And that was right around the time where you were doing, you did your art show at Vermilion. And that was our first time getting to see like a show, one of your shows. Like we got to see stuff around the studio, but like, you like told like a story with the art that like blew my mind.
It was
because
like
I was
timeline.
like, this is the time that like I could see from how you placed everything, like where I came into your life. And then when I was asking you about it, you were like, yeah. And then I was like, wait, and then this is, you know, this part, and this is like you could see Chop in these paintings that she made like way ahead of Chop. It was insane. Gosh. So like if you didn't get a chance to see it, like I'm sure there's some. I know there's some good. There's
content somewhere.
There's some really good footage somewhere. Bobby actually, I think has
it. He has all the.
Or Jake Grafbot has it. But there's some amazing footage. So whenever that comes out, y'all are gonna be in for a treat. But and I just remember being there, just like whoa, because it's just cool to like align with people who are going the same direction. I think about too the red, like when we first met. and we were talking to you about the Harriet Tubman Foundation, and you were painting red doors, and that was a sign of that was what they did in the Underground Railroad.
And I didn't even know that. I didn't even know that till after, because right when I was meeting you, I had like, as an expressionist, I kind of ride these impulses, and I don't always know what they are, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm like, all the doors are red, and then I'll go into like, we're gonna paint all the red doors now. Red door, red door, red door, red door. But I'll go back sometimes and be like, let me see what this is about, because I don't always trust that I even know what it's about. And I ended up Googling red doors, come to find that in the Underground Railroad, the red door was a symbol of a safe space, right? And that was so validating for me, as far as like, okay, we are on the right track, and we can trust our instincts. Like I believe so fully in trusting my instincts. Like I've gotten here trusting my instincts. Man, my instincts have gotten me into all kinds of wild shit.
Anywhere and everywhere, right?
Anywhere and everywhere, but every single one of those got me here.
Yeah.
In this room.
With
the two of you.
Yeah.
Right? Which is like the most glorious place to be. If you have any
Love it.
idea, like it's the most glorious place to be, sitting here with the two of you.
This is amazing.
Right? It makes everything feel very worthwhile.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know? And all of the years that we circled around each other and didn't know each other. Right?
Yeah.
Timing.
Like, it's the timing. Like whatever happened last year in the chop with the protests and everything, like I fully believe that the timing brought us all there.
Yeah.
And that the connections that we made in those moments were really, really important and impactful. And I feel like so many of us followed our heart in that, like, because those were moments that made us like really tap into like, who the fuck are you?
Yes.
Who the fuck are you?
Yes.
And what are you here for?
I've never questioned that so much more like than I have the past year, and I'm glad that I have, because like you said, it brought us to this room.
Right. It got us to like, I'm here.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm
here.
This is.
Yes,
I mean,
I with you.
it honed in my mission, like a mission that I'd had in a very broad way, and I was like, I have no idea how the fuck I'm going to accomplish any of these things. Like, it just honed it all in to make it be like, oh, this is specifically what it's about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel so grateful. Like, I trust my instincts and the people that I met, and like, I still have no regrets in any of the people I connected with during CHOP.
Yeah.
Like, no regrets at all. Like, I was fortunate. I feel like I was divinely led to every person that I felt compelled to connect with, and there were hundreds of people, and I was really only drawn to a few. So the fact that it was like whatever, whoever sent whoever to whoever, and then we were in a room together talking about things and talking about how we could impact change and how we could like mitigate circumstances and try to help. Like that was the most. That was the most important moment in my life.
Yeah.
Like I truly 100% felt like my entire life I've lived to be in this moment with the experiences that I've had and the knowledge I've learned from those experiences, to be able to sit in this moment wholly human with you, with Julie, and the people that we came together with, and to know that those were the right moments and the right people.
Yeah. And no regrets.
No regrets, man.
Funny,
it's been so unbelievably magical, and we're like 8 months out of this shit.
Right.
Yeah.
And now we're super deep into like all sorts of things.
It's crazy because I see a lot of people commenting on social media that, you know, weren't maybe paid attention but weren't super involved with everything that was going with like protesting and all that. And I see comments like, what happened to every day? And like, you know, what are you guys doing now? And it's like, these are the things. We have to do things behind the scenes. We have to, you know, we're building community. We are
every day.
Exactly.
Every day.
And it's these moments and these things that we're feeling that's like the big things that are happening, even though you might not see us on the streets.
Right.
Well, and to expand on that, like, the shit that we're doing isn't necessarily something that needs to be in front of everybody's faces. In fact, it needs to be in the right people's faces in the right spaces, and that is underground, and y'all are not necessarily, like,
you don't need to see all the moves.
A lot of
everybody has their lane,
because especially in the world we're living in, like right now we're being streamed all over the place, right? Whenever we don't usually function this way, it's usually on our Instagram live. Like BlueCon's got way more followers than we ever deal with, and we're just skimming the surface for you all, because that's how sacred what we're doing is. And it's so interesting to me that, like, you're working on Forever Safe Spaces. We had the Harriet Tubman Foundation for Safe Passage. And when we were like, oh shit, and like, well, this is your vision, well, this is our vision, it just all made sense.
Right.
And it really is part of our duty to keep the mission safe.
Right.
And so what people have to get comfortable with, and at least I know I've been feeling a little like uneasy about, is folks having expectations about like how other people need to show up and show out. Like, and not doing so in like a healthy or constructive way.
Right.
And so it's just important. I like having this space where we can kind of let people, like, remind folks, like, oh, we're human. You know?
Yeah.
We're human, and we're doing the best that we can every day. And just because we're not like bombarding you with a lot of, stuff doesn't mean that there's not things going on. And
well, I know I quieted down a lot from like social posts and things like that over the last like 3 months. The winter hit hard, and I think a lot of us that were really deep in the summer, I think things slowed down a little bit. The action slowed down a little. The like street action slowed down a little bit. But that was the exact moment that we started getting super deep into building, right? Systems building, like figuring out what we can do on the back end. Like a lot of this action doesn't take place on the street. It actually takes place in the organizing behind the scenes. And what does that mean? As Blue Cone is a sole prop. I've not always engaged fully deep in the community, and that's my own trust issues. That's my own sort of like, once you start getting deep in and once you start engaging with more people, everything gets more complicated. And we've seen that. And we've seen that all throughout the city, and all of the different organizations that have sort of like sprouted up, and this, that, and the other. And everybody's now, after the action of the whole summer, now we're deep in, and it's about like, let's build these new organizations up. But like, it's hard. It's hard. And communication is important, and connection is important. And I think experiencing being part of other organizations that are in the midst of any amount of sort of turmoil about communication, like this is what's going to happen. Like community networking, community organizing is incredibly difficult work. It's incredibly difficult work. It requires
energy, it's a lot of
so much sort of trust, and people in the community are all over the place, right? Like that's what I always felt about CHOP, was like, you've got 30 perspectives in a space, and everybody's trying to make space for their own perspective, and I think that's what the city is, and us figuring out how to forge that way and maintain our mission within this conglomerate of multiple perspectives is hard, right?
Yeah.
I feel like we've been doing a good job though.
I think so too.
I've never appreciated organizing more than with you and Julie C. Like I feel like we're so lucky.
Yeah.
We're so lucky to have such trust and honesty with each other.
The day that we all came in here to talk, like that we did our little board and everything.
Right.
Oh, I felt so good. And I you have those gut feelings that we probably had for the past year about everything. And that day I was like, this is so good. Like this is going to be so good. So, and here we are.
And here we are.
Months later.
And I had an idea, and like all of a sudden I was like, oh, like the help. Like, I need help, right? And I think we've all been like, I need help.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So for us to all be figuring this out together, it's just so much more comforting. It's like, I feel less pressure to be perfect in the figuring out, because we have those conversations and that grace to allow each other the room to figure things out.
And that's exactly what I wanted to kind of get on, is that like I had never really done like on the ground work as far as like being involved in protests, like consistent protests, and CHOP was a whole other thing, right? And so that was very super new for me. And like, even though I've been doing community work for a long time,
right?
And so what my biggest takeaway has been from that entire experience and experiences that were to follow, you know, that have been continuing to happen, is that, you know, no regrets. Also, I wish that, however, in that time, in those moments, I would have spent more time getting to know these new people versus trying to create something out of it. I think and while I shared my gifts in that space with a lot of people and like helped them move forward in what they were doing, it was never like really my intention to create any sort of entity out of anything that happened at CHOP. And so I think about relationships, ones that have lasted, ones that haven't, and how this one is really thrived because we really took the time to get to know each other and share our stories and connect like dots and important dots, and how the relationships where I've had the time to do that are the ones that have thrived. And and so that's kind of something that I would really like to be, I wish I could spend more time on now, but we're like, you know, deep in this administrative stuff, and that's, it's interesting, but we're also honing in so that we can get more, even more in line with what we want to be focusing on. So it's like, we're almost at the point where like, shit's just going to be running itself, you know, like we've been connected to all these different opportunities that are going to allow us to learn what we need to learn in order to like put that thing in place and get back to like this, like really carefree stuff more often, you know?
And get back to the art.
Get back to the art, the creating. Because like, I don't even like to use the word work, but like.
But the admin's been important. Like like where we are right now and the ideas that we have, like it's really, really essential that we build a foundation that can be built out of. You know, and we like, I appreciate so much how much care and how gentle we've been with each other, and how really sort of like mindful we've been of each other's capacity. And even though we're doing like extraordinary work, right? Like, I don't know that I've ever really felt that sense of like care.
The other day it was funny because I don't remember what was being said, but something about needing to take a break or whatever. And I think Naudia and Julie were texting back in our little group chat. And I just looked at Naudia, I was like, I love how we speak to each other. And I was like,
we're so kind and gentle, and this is not, to be honest, like this is not typically kind and gentle work, although I feel like it should be. I'm gonna take a pause and go to the bathroom. Speak amongst yourselves.
Okay, you know what? We're about to wrap.
Wait. Are we wrapping it up? Oh, did we do a good job?
Yeah, we did great. So let's wrap it up because we're about to be an hour before minutes out. Thanks for letting us use this space. Thank you for orchestrating all of this production, because really this is you reaching out to your connect and making this happen. We want to keep doing this,
But we're going to get better at this, right?
Yeah, for sure. Right. That's all we can do is keep getting better.
All we can do. Because we just watch people, like we know the places that we want to get to. And I think so many of us hold ourselves to this pressure of those that are already there. Right? Like, great job. Y'all are fucking fire. Like, you already know how to do all these things. And we're, you know, the shame of not knowing is so extreme. And it's such a weird thing. It's like, why would you feel bad for not knowing something you were never expected to, like, we're here now to meet this moment. And giving ourselves the opportunity to learn what this moment is and how to engage in these new platforms. Like, I think it's great.
I think it's great. Yeah.
Like our next Mixed Chick Chat, even more. We're gonna have little things and stuff and other videos.
Invite some more people.
Look. We're gonna get there.
More artwork.
More artwork.
Make sure you share this with your friend who's looking to, put their money somewhere in the community. They may be into art in some sort of way. They want to support all of the movement. Share, tap into the websites.
ForeverSafeSpaces.org.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. I think we'll just put in the description or caption of this thing with more recent
We'll have all the links there.
Best way to find me is Instagram. Just call me Nas, NAS. JustCallMeNaz.com also.
Best way to find me is on Instagram, KiyaMac206.
Best way to find me on Instagram, CMEHITT, see me hit.
Yeah. And we don't know how to shut this off,
so we're gonna push some buttons.
We're gonna see what we do. Bobby's on the way.
He's on the way.
Shit. Did he say that?
Yeah, I texted him.
You're like, we're about to wrap up. Like, can you help?
Well, let's look at this. We have a comment from Facebook from
What is it?
Germicidal138.
Germ's an old school blue cone.
Oh, yeah.
Germ's an old school blue
Germ
cone.
says-
Germ and I did projects like before Blue Cone even had a space. Germ and I were doing projects.
Wow. Germ says, I just want to acknowledge your influence and help.
Yeah.
You ladies have helped me level up immensely. Thanks for sharing and being open. Oh, thank you, Germ.
Aww.
That's so
Oh,
kind.
we're about to do so much. So Germ is one of our leading folks in the new Lake City project that we've got. And hopefully we'll be launching a Lake City, a Blue Cone North with a Lake City project that's a real great opportunity at a community space, community integration with Black Star Farmers and other farming organizations and Germ, since Germ's in Lake City, that'll be an excellent opportunity there. So Blue Cone for life.
Nice to meet you, Germ. Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
he's also a tattoo artist.
Oh,
so
word.
he's done a handful of all of my tattoos.
Oh, cool. Oh, your tattoos are filthy. Okay, word. Oh, that's exciting. Okay, so we've gotten word from our tech team, and we know
from Bobby.
Yeah.
To Bobby.
We know how to shut this off. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.
For joining us.
Thank you.
Tune in. Send us your feedback. Anything that you want to hear or see. Questions you'd like answered. Anything you want to know about. Reach out to us. However you feel comfortable.
Keep in mind, we've done this on a few different platforms before. So usually it's on Nadia's IG. So just keep in mind that next time, who knows? It might be on mine, might be on Carolynn's.
It could be anywhere.
So, but we'll post about it and let you know.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
And stay safe, y'all.
Stay safe.
Shut that bad boy on up. Just pop it down. He said.